This is the Khmer Times News. My name is Paolo Bonini, and these are your headlines. The way people drive, you're lucky if you get out alive. A man commits a murder so violent and so foul. And air quality, it's great. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Firstly, to your headline story. I follow a Facebook group called Traffic Cambodia, a group that has over 250,000 subscribers. And many of them are fed up with the deaths and the injuries on the kingdom's roads. The actions of some drivers can only be described as atrocious. And when I saw one particular piece of film footage, I got very enraged. I felt compelled to show it to you. But first, let me show you this clip. It's a white Highlander driving off down the road at speed. But what is it he's driving away from? And why are members of the public chasing after him? Well, it's because of this. Here is a still from the video that I'm about to show you. Please note the very seriously injured motorcyclist that was hit by the white Highlander. Also, please note the huge pool of blood. This guy is in a very serious condition. He needs help immediately. But what does the driver do that caused this accident? Well, have a look at this and you will see an appalling case of hit and run. This is not the only piece of traffic footage I have for you. Please look to the left-hand side of this film. A motorcyclist comes from the left-hand side. He does not look, and he plows into another bike, causing one almighty smash. I would guess, from my 40 years on motorcycles, the injuries both drivers sustained would be very severe. Let's now slow it down. Remember, look to the left. That last accident was caused by a driver entering traffic without looking. Well, this next clip is even more shocking. This is what happens to you if you drive on the wrong side of the road. The consequences are nothing short of deadly. The lunacy of this driver is only equal to the appalling pain he must now be in. Now, there is this madness. The guy in yellow with his mate are so drunk, so says the Facebook post, they can't even drive in a straight line. If they had driven off down the road, who knows who they may have killed. Now, I travel about 25,000 kilometers every year, and I see dogs as well as cattle in the road over and over and over again. I, myself, was wiped out by a dog last year, and I suffered injuries. To me, this next footage is the most dangerous element of driving on the nation's roads. Now, if that was a bike, it is literally like driving into a brick wall, and many people have died hitting cattle and hitting dogs. It is simply absurdly dangerous. Now, please note, all these videos have been posted in the last couple of weeks. I have not cherry-picked or harvested old videos just to make this more shocking. It is all recent. The biggest outcry in the comments section on the Traffic Cambodia Facebook page was about the first clip, the one I showed you of the hit-and-run Highlander leaving a man half dead in the road. And the river of comments are people who are rightfully outraged. So, if you know the whereabouts of a white Highlander with the registration 2B5236, please do let the police know, as this outrageous behaviour must be brought to a very abrupt end, to try and stem the steady flow of blood that is staining the nation's roads. On this week's Crime Desk, a man slams his wife's head into a concrete floor and she dies. A son kills the only man who cared. And education standards are the worst in ASEAN. We kick off with a most brutal murder. And I include this story as we have never ever had someone murdered in such a way. It is quite simply unique. The headline read, "Man arrested for a brutal smash murder of wife." It seems we at the Khmer Times are going for the more simple headlines of late. The problem is that that headline does nothing to portray the horror that went down last week. The brutal murder took place at 8 p.m. one evening at Ode Minche. The killer is a Mr. Uk Un, a 36-year-old labourer. The murder itself starts in a kind of traditional way for a husband and wife murder. The husband went out all day to drink alcohol at his friend's house, but it was at 5 p.m. his wife called him and told him to come home. He did not. And much to his surprise, his wife turned up at his friend's house and berated him for not returning home. And needless to say, a savage row broke out between the two of them. The screaming match went on for some time, and the man, his face red with both anger and with alcohol, said he had had enough. He walked towards his wife, and he then grabbed her by the hair and forced her head downwards. She fell to her knees. With a tight grip on her long hair, he then violently rammed her face into the concrete floor. Blood poured from her face. She screamed out, but he did not care. He smashed her face into the concrete over and over and over again, each and every time she cried out as more blood poured from her head. He did not listen to her pleas and continued the savage assault until she lay quite still in her own blood. She was rushed to Ode Minche Hospital, but she was dead. On examination of the victim, it was discovered her skull was shattered in several places. The attack had been so brutal and so severe, it had fractured her skull in multiple places. She had died on her knees in a pool of her own blood. The husband has now been jailed and awaits a court date. Now, here is a headline that no nation wishes to see, as it very much marks the road of the future. The headline read, "Cambodia ranks lowest in ASEAN education." In fact, the 2025 World Population Review has ranked Cambodia's education 120th globally amongst 203 countries, and it is the lowest in all of ASEAN. According to the education rankings, Singapore tops the list for ASEAN countries, followed by Brunei, Vietnam, Indonesia, the Philippines, Malay, Laos, and right there at the bottom is Cambodia. The education rankings are sourced from the annual United Nations Best Countries report. While Cambodia's education ranking stands at 120, the literacy rate is rather impressive. It's 87.8% for age 15 and above. That is an increase from 77.5% in 2008. But what is it that is causing this severe lag in education? Well, it is noted that Cambodia is progressing very slowly due to the rapid advancement of technology training. And with other countries moving ahead with new tech and computer education, Cambodia lags significantly behind. Dr. Mengley, an education specialist, did emphasize how very important technology training is. But there is another factor. You see, with a boom in private schools, it gives those in the cities a much wider choice of education. But that does leave a void, and it's a big void, as there is simply not enough teachers. And with teachers flocking to the towns for higher pay, that means often the less fortunate kids in the countryside are not getting the standard of education they need. And that may well be having a very detrimental effect on the overall numbers that have led Cambodia to the bottom of the ASEAN table. Oh dear, it's back. The story I really thought I had put to bed. And this story came back with one huge screaming headline that read, Phnom Penh, most polluted city in world yesterday with very unhealthy rating. Oh God, we're all going to die. Again. Now this story confuses the heck out of me, and let me give you an idea as to why. Just look at this headline from the Nation newspaper only a few hours later. Chiang Mai ranked most polluted city in world. They went on to say, Chiang Mai was ranked as the most polluted city in the world according to monitoring by IQ Air. So there you have it. In the space of a few hours, both Phnom Penh and Chiang Mai are the most polluted cities in the world. They are a full 4 hours apart by plane. Now, to add to the confusion, the ministry a few days later said this. Ministry of Environment confirms air quality is safe. It's at this point the ball seems to be ricocheting around the table as though we are playing air quality pinball. So, what is the truth? Now, firstly, I'm not going to deny air quality has been bad. At times, it has been. It is photos like this that cannot be denied. So how is it we have screaming headlines saying Phnom Penh is the worst in the world, and only hours later, Chiang Mai is the worst in the world? Then we have the ministry saying air is at an acceptable level. Well, in fact, they are all correct. Right now, as I write this, here is the bad air quality top 10, and no city in Cambodia is in it. And the latest reading right now says it's moderate. That's just one level away from good. So what is going on? Well, there are two factors. Many say that crop burning throughout Asia at this time of year causes these huge spikes in bad air. But there's something else. I looked closer at IQ Air, the people we are getting this alarming data from, and guess what they sell? Air purifiers and air filters. So maybe, just maybe, there is a conflict of interest here. As if your company is selling face masks, air filters and purifiers, does it not serve your favour to be telling all that it is your city that is really badly polluted? Again, I'm not denying air pollution, for we can all see it, but maybe we need to take a more reasoned view rather than just focusing on the worst possible data available. It's time to have a look ahead and see what the weather has in store for us next week.
Okay, and here we are at the weather, and as is always, let's have a photo of the week to see what's been going on in my life, and guess who's back? It's Wilbert the hamster. Now have a look at this. This is yet another escape attempt by him. I mean, I had to go to Thailand and I have CCTV cameras on my hamster. He's that bad. Yes, I do. I have CCTV 4K infrared cameras on my hamster because he keeps escaping. And when I was in Thailand, he escaped, and a friend had to come to my house and find him and then put him back again. And only the other night, he's at it again. For crying out loud, Will, the stress I have with that hamster, I can't tell you. But I'll tell you what, it's still better than being married. Right, let's flip that aside and have a look at the weather. I can't get it up. Hang on, let me flip it. Oh, just a gentle caress. Oh, and there it goes. It's up in front of me. And what do we see? We see rain has returned, as you've probably noticed. We've still got some very high temperatures. The highest I can see across the board there is 95 degrees, and the humidity at a cracking 50%.
This has been the Khmer Times News. Please do subscribe and comment and stay up to date with all the breaking news by following us on both Facebook and Telegram. This has been Paolo Bonini, and that was the week that was. I'll see you next weekend for your weekly Roundup.